So this is the Turkic world, according to whoever did this map. And in a sense, they're right. Now, would I consider Turkey Turkic? Not really. They speak Turkish, but they're not really Turkic. These are really the descendants of Indo-Europeans who got Turkified, but they're not really Turkic. They may have, I think there are people in Turkey who do have Turkic blood in them, but for the most part, people living in Turkey are just Anatolian Europeans. So here's Turkey here, and then you go into Azerbaijan. And then from Azerbaijan, you're into more Azerbaijan. Here's Armenia. This country here is Armenia. So Armenia is here. So Turkey wants to control all this. It would then have direct access because, you see, if Armenia wasn't here, if it was just Azerbaijan, it would make things so much easier for Turkey because, I mean, think about it. Turkey has to do what? It's got to go through freaking Armenia. Now, it can go through Azerbaijan's enclave, Nakhchivan, which is what it's called. So they could go through Nakhchivan, but they would still have to go through Armenia. So they don't want to have to go through Armenia because Armenia is, one of the nemesis of Turkey. They could go through Georgia, but that's too close to Russia, and it's too close. The Russians probably won't like that. So the Turks want to have that direct access. And so if they can get rid of this Armenian obstacle here and make Armenia a part of Turkish power, then they can go right through the South Caucasus into the Caspian Sea, and from here, direct access into the real Turkic world, which is Central Asia. And here you have Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan. And what's also interesting, and this goes back to what I was saying about the Turkic world. So if we go to a map here, Xinjiang is the point between China and the rest of Central Asia. So Xinjiang is technically, it's a part of China, but it borders with Central Asia. It borders with Kyrgyzstan. It borders with it's a pretty freaking massive region. Borders with Kazakhstan, borders with Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan. So it really is a massive, massive region. And so it's part of China, but it's also really part of Central Asia. So Turkey wants to control the Turkic world, but one of its obstacles is going to be China. That's why the Turks are training TIP, which stands for, I think, Turkmenistan Islamic Party or something like that. It's a terrorist group. They're like Azov Battalion, but Seljuk Turkic people. And they're evil and they're violent. And they were fighting the Syrian military. So Turkey trained them. Turkey has armed them. And Turkey has used them as a proxy to war with Bashar al-Assad's military. So they're battle-hardened. They have experience in war. Turkestan, that's correct. They have experience in war. And I think what NATO's game is to use TIP, to use those Turkish-trained, Turkish-backed, NATO-backed Uyghur Mongolians to raid Xinjiang, enter Xinjiang, gain recruits, perhaps get jihadis from neighboring Central Asian countries, get jihadis from Pakistan, Afghanistan, bring them into Xinjiang and destabilize this whole region. And I think the end goal for NATO here, the strategy of NATO, is a pincer effect to attack China from the west and attack China from the east. Because if you look at a map here, you can't see it here, but here's North Korea, South Korea. Japan is over here. And so you use South Korea and Japan to hit China from the east, and you use the Turks to destabilize China in the west. And that would weaken China, see? And that's the whole goal. That, I think this is the NATO goal here. And so Turkey's plan, let's go back to the main map. Turkey's plan is to control all the Turkic world, and over here is China, and it wants to control that Turkestan, that Xinjiang region. Well, it has to remove China as an obstacle. So I think there's going to be conflict between Turkey and China through the Xinjiang province, And I think there's going to be a conflict between the Chinese and the Japanese. And I think Trump is planning on really working with the Japanese to make their military stronger, to use the Japanese as a proxy against the Chinese. Central Asia is a major source of uranium, accounting for more than half of the world's uranium production. Holy goodness. The world's largest producer of uranium, accounting for 43% of global production in 2022. So if the Turks can control Kazakhstan, Uzbek, they can get their own uranium. They can make uranium bombs. They can make themselves 10 times, 50 times more dangerous. 1,000,000 times more dangerous. I mean, this is pretty... And if Turkey can control all of this, Turkey will become a massive ass superpower. Imagine if you can control all of this with all the population, with all the resources, and from here you have direct access into the Caspian Sea. I mean, you're talking about some serious ass power. Serious power. You'll be competing with the Russians in the Caspian Sea. Turkey already has a naval presence in the Black Sea. It'll have a naval presence in the Caspian Sea, a very strong presence in the Caspian Sea. You're talking about a freaking empire here. Hell, forget the Middle East. If Turkey can just control this, Turkey's good to go.